Hey, my name is Chenny from Goldfinger Holdings. I am the product manager of TestRay app inside Jira. Welcome to today's macro webinar. In today's webinar, I would like to talk about how to build relations from TestRay links. As we all know that in Jira, issue type categorize data, and Jira native link establish relations between them. However, these links lack depth in showcasing parent-child hierarchy or the full traceability. So that's why TestRay is here to fill this gap by efficiently establishing and maintaining relations in a very user-friendly interface. So in today's webinar, you will learn how to build requirement hierarchies, how to establish relations between requirements and test cases. And also I will show how to link defects to test executions or test runs in order to get a full traceability from requirement to defects. Okay, now let me just open my demo instance. So first of all, let me show how to build requirement hierarchy. So I want to create a epic first. So here, let me choose an epic issue type. Let's say epic 1 as a name. So here I need to give epic name as epic and then create. Now let me open this epic. So if you want to create a child story or child task, so natively you have to use this link option. This is from Jira native feature, but it will not show you the parent, the child relations or the hierarchy. So by using TestRay apps, it is quite easy. For example, here, I need to break an epic down to smaller pieces, stories, right? I can simply click on this create child, and then I choose story as issue type, and then give a summary like story 1, and then keep going to create another one like story 2. Let me show the final UI. You see here? So from here, the parent is quite clear, right? So if you want to build another level of child, for example, from story, we need to create some dev task. So you can keep going to do that. It means you can create many levels of such kind of hierarchy. Let's see. Now I want to create dev task. Dev task 1, and then dev task 2. And now, if you see this screen, you see from this particular user story, I'm able to know from which parent the story is created. And also we are able to read it clearly that how many child tasks or child requirements are created here. So this is how you build your requirement hierarchy from our TestRay app. So if you go back to requirements page here from TestRay, you see this is the way how such kind of hierarchy maintained and displayed in the page. So the first level is epic, and then there are multiple user stories, and from user story I created the lower level of dev tasks. It is quite clear and user friendly for end user. So this is how to build requirement hierarchy. Now let's show you how to build relations between your requirement or dev tasks to your test activity, means test keys and executions. Now I just open the task, or you can call it as requirement by using a general terminology. So when QA team launches a task or a requirement, so it is time to create test keys, right? So user can create test keys directly here. Test keys 1 to test task 1. And then let me create another and then cancel it. You see now from this particular task, I have created 2 test cases. You see the relations between this requirement and test case will be established automatically. If I go back to the parent level of my requirement, refresh it, still you will see the test cases created by QA team. Now let me go in further to launch my test case. Let me create some dummy steps like step 1, step 2, expected result. And then edit. Okay. So now you see I just launched a simple test case, right? So from QA team, any test case will be executed from a test plan or from a exploratory testing, right? Now I make it simple to create an execution directly from the test case. I click on this, you see the execution window will pop up. You see there are 2 steps. So I can simply execute my test case like this way. Let's say this step is failed. I can add a actual result for 04 error at home page, something like that. So now I want to establish defects and test execution relations. How to do that? It is quite simple. You can link an existing defects or you can create a defects here directly. Click on that. Okay, you see the issue type will be changed to defect automatically. So let's say 404 error at home page. It is a defect and it is a blocker issue. Let me set priority as highest and then create. And then let's close it. You see now the defect and the test execution relations has been established. So actually that means the defect and these test case relations also established. So this is how to build, relations between test case, execution, and defects. Now let me go back to my task again to track or to see the traceability metrics. Let's refresh now. Okay, so this is still a dev task, right? I didn't do any Jira native link to link any existing defect or create a defect from the task. Instead, I finished my test execution creation here, and I reported the defect from this test execution directly. And now this defect is associated to this task automatically. And on the right side, all the defects reported from the linked test cases will be displayed here. So let me summarize here. Once we build relations between requirement, test case, and test run and defects, then when you launch your requirement, you are able to know the test cases you created. This is kind of traceability, and also the executions, and also the defects here. So it is not necessary at all for you to, open each separate item to check the information. Instead, everything is displayed inside one issue type here, requirement. So similarly, if you open your test case, right, you will see the executions, the defect relations. So all these, they are connected together. And even more, the requirement which is tested or covered by this particular test case, they are linked together. So this kind of full traceability can be done. If you just open a single defects, you also can get additional traceability information. From here, test case panel, you will see from which test case the defect is created. And here, test run ID shows the test run information, and also requirement column shows the requirement impacted by this particular defect. So everything is connected together. So now let me just show some existing data to get a better idea, get a better UI interface. First of all, I want to show here. So this requirements page is from our TestRay app. And I have already created data to build requirement hierarchy, to build relations between requirement and test case. And also I did some executions and linked defects between them. You see here, first of all, the requirement hierarchy is quite clear and user-friendly here. And on the right side here, if you click on this number, test case count, all the test cases we created to cover this requirement is displayed here. And plans column shows from which test plans those test cases has been executed. Similarly, if I open my requirement, here it is a user story. So as I mentioned, the hierarchy information is quite clear here, parent and 2 children. And then I have a total of 4 test cases created to cover this requirement. And if I expand more, I will get execution information. I will get my defects here. And on the right side, all the defects reported against this requirement will be listed here. Well, so this is from requirement perspective. Now, sometimes we need an overview to check such kind of information, right? For example, we need a traceability matrix report. You can go to our TestRay traceability, and then let me set the filter. And you see, this is the traceability matrix inside our TestRay. The first column are the requirements, and then the test cases we associated to these requirements. And then the test plans from where the test cases is executed. And if you want to see more, you can click on this result icon. It will take you to execution details window. You can get all necessary information. When it is executed, who executed, and the defect information, and attachment or logs or everything. And if you see there's a bug icon there, it means there is at least one defect created during the testing. So if you click on that, the defect details will pop up. So all this information is based on our TestRay relations or TestRay links. We connect requirement, test case, executions, result, and defects together. If you open requirement, you see everything else like test case, execution result, and defects. When you open your test case, you read requirement information, you read execution information, you read defect information, etc. So this is our how to build our relations and how this relation works inside our TestRay app. Yep, it's pretty much for today's webinar. If you have any question or you want to learn more about our TestRay app, feel free to reach out to us at sales@goldfingerholdings.com.